Hello, everyone. Just waiting to join people. Hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm joined by the wonderful Charlene. And before, hopefully, you've seen the link or seen it on the paranormal page. But would you like to just explain a little bit about yourself, Charlene, and what you do and what sort of ghost hunting and how people can see more about your for your channel before we get into the past life regression talk?
So I'm founder of Paranormal Hauntings. We are a page that does a variation of things. We do live ghost hunts, we do live explores, we do footage, we test equipment, we do blogs. We are quite varied in our content in which what we do. Um, so yeah.
Wonderful, and we must say hello to the ghost lady,
Hi,
Nanny
Lynn.
Lynn. She's also used to be known under another name called Dream Witch. So, because she's brilliant at dream analysis. So that's a really another fascinating conversation we can have with the
I
wonderful
didn't know
Nanny
that.
Lynn. Yeah, so she's
That.
absolutely wonderful lady. So on your paranormal hauntings, just before we get into the questions, would love to know, because you go out doing ghost investigations, what's been some of your favourite evidence that you've potentially captured on your lives, or even maybe not alive when you might have done an investigation before?
I've been doing it several years, so there is a few that kind of come to mind. Oxford Castle being one when we investigated there, me, my mum, and a partner event. The Block, which is now no more, on Burton on Trent, I think it is. Um, there we actually had a Ouija board stacked. I wrote about it, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and I posted a picture of it stacked, and nobody was in that area at the time. And as we was walking out, we was having, they had like soft, is it soft shooting, whatever, and they had them little balls on the floor scattered around because that's what they used to do in the day. And we walked out of there and we had them thrown at us. So that was quite an experience. And then we just recently we did Arlington Hall. That was an amazing location. It absolutely petrified me, which isn't something that normally locations don't normally petrify me, but it really had me on edge. There's quite a few that I've been in it and really, really enjoyed and got the best out of. But overall, we can have more quiet nights than we do active nights because that's how it goes. But the good ones always stay with you.
Yes, they do,
Um,
absolutely. I must say hello to Pat, who's watching at the moment. There's also a few silent watchers as well at this time. Hello to all of you watching as well. So before we get into the questions, one other thing I like to ask, you can just give a shout out to the social media that Paranormal Hauntings is on, so that people can go and follow you, subscribe, enjoy the ghost hunts and the other wonderful things that you do on your media.
yeah. So we're on Facebook mainly. We do have a YouTube channel, but we don't. I tend to upload content now and again onto YouTube. Would like to do lives on YouTube, but YouTube is so much harder than Facebook. So we tend to concentrate on Facebook more. But we're on Instagram as well, occasionally post on there. But overall, the main content what we do is on our page, which is Paranormal Hauntings, and then we have a massive group, which isn't just for us. This is just a community that people share stories, their own evidence, their own, lives, stories, blogs. anything like that, you know. But that isn't just for us. That's just like a community group which has 270,000 in now. So it's a big interest out there, and a
Yeah,
big group
absolutely.
that we manage and we enjoy managing. We also have Haunted Explorers as well. That's another group of ours. That's more for the maybe the derelict, the abandoned side. Don't share so many minds in there. It's a bit more focused on locations and experiences and things like that, rather than, you know, funny posts and whatnot, which Paranormal Hauntings has. So yeah, we've got quite a few social media platforms that we cover.
Brilliant. So again, after this video is finished, I will put all your the channels, even the YouTube, because some people on here are just YouTubers only, so that they can have links to what you do. So I thought we'd just move on to the regression now. So it was quite an emotional regression. I think pretty much everybody watching was crying along with you at one point, but until the end it actually seemed like a really happy life. I know that Iceland Vikings came out. I don't think I asked you at the time, but have you had any interest or any holidays or connections to Iceland, or was that completely and utterly a surprise for you?
Um, it wasn't a surprise, I'm not gonna lie. We visited the Isle of Lewis earlier last year, when we came out of lockdown, and there was a stone circle there I felt extremely connected to. I'd done a spirit box session there. I'd had through that I'd been there before. And the funny thing was, is before my regression, my husband I'd bought him a ancestry kit for Christmas. I think I said at the time. And I'd always said to him I thought he had Viking roots and that he was from Scotland and, you know, originated from Norway in some way. And he said, no, no, I haven't. And it ended up being that because we got him back just before we did the regressions, because it takes 6 or 8 weeks to do that ancestry kit. And it came back that he came from Scotland and it went to Isle of Lewis, Iceland, and then Norway. So his family, and he was a good percentage of Norwegian,
Wow.
which was very strange to say that we'd been to the Isle of Lewis and he'd obviously been, his family'd been there as Viking, maybe practiced or done rituals around that stone circle there. And then for me to feel like that. But no, it's not what really didn't really surprise me as such, because I do feel a Viking connection as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I definitely do. So it didn't surprise me at all. I think what surprised me the most was the emotion that I
Yes.
experienced.
Yeah.
Um, because sometimes some people might think that because you already think that it's your imagination that's
Mm.
running away with you. And to a degree, yes, it could be. But that emotion that I experienced, which looking back on the footage now, actually didn't come across as upset as I felt inside, and as much as I thought I thought I was sat there sobbing, because to me inside I was, you know,
Yeah.
but I'd actually put on a bit of a brave face, really,
Yeah.
compared to how I was feeling at the time.
And I know you said it's something you don't usually get very emotional as well. So to have those
Yeah,
emotions come into you was quite.
I couldn't
Uh,
control it, no matter
mm.
how much I tried. And it just hit me like that. It was just like, normally you get a build up of emotions, you know, and then what I do anyway, and then it might come. But this was like a
Yeah.
instant, you know, just came on like somebody turned a light on. It was, yeah, I couldn't explain that. That was very, very strange.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I did find really quite fascinating is that the god's names at a conscious level, if I'm remembering this rightly, like
Sure.
the god's names,
Yeah.
like, yeah. But you couldn't say it in the regression. Was it that you were hearing like a different language of the names, or was it you just said that it felt really protected? Because I found that interesting because
Felt I needed to protect it and it was a secret. That's how I felt.
yeah.
I know that I described animal creatures that would have been on Viking boats, which I wouldn't have known actually. I didn't
Mm,
know that, but I know that I'd have described Viking creatures that would have been, connected to the Vikings. But no, I felt a degree of that. I needed to protect
mm,
who we was worshipping and, what we was doing and things, which I suppose in that lifetime they would have done.
absolutely. Just get this up from Pat Middleton. If you were regressed again, would you choose to go back to that life again or explore more? So what would your answer be to that one?
I would choose to explore more. I mean, I've spoke to Paul because I think I've had a past life before myself. I think
Hmm.
I've had myself one before. A few years ago, I had a dream that I was in a concentration camp and I had curly hair and it was ringlety, but it was blonde, which was strange, being in a concentration camp, I would have thought I would have been darker, but I didn't look like me. And I had a red dress on, and I went everywhere in this red dress. And my family came in with me, and my husband died, and my children died. I had two, and I witnessed them die. And I actually got friends with a few people in the camp, and we plotted a route out of the concentration camp, right? And we planned for this particular day. It was a group of men that we'd planned it with. I planned it with, arranged it with, and I'd gone under this fence, and all the men had gone across the field, and there was just the mines going
Hmm.
everywhere across the field, and I can remember the German soldiers came out, started firing, and I absolutely legged it. And the next minute, there was an explosion, and I'd woke up.
Wow.
I'd woke up. Now, the weirdest thing was, I told my mum about this dream after this regression, right? And my mum said, that sounds like you're talking about the Russian,
Okay.
where they had, is it Soul? I can't remember the film now. It's a film. And she said, it sounds like a film you're talking about there, Shaw, where a woman and a group of Russians plan to escape a concentration camp and they run out and get, explode on this field and she'd end up dying. She said, and do you know the woman's name in that's called Luca? I went, all right. And she went, you know what the weirdest thing is? She said, you know when you was a baby, I used to call you Shah Luca.
Wow.
And she went, and Grandma said, you need to stop calling her Shah Luca because she's going to think her name's Luca.
Yeah.
And she went, and I don't
Interesting.
know why I used to call you that.
Mm.
Um, but that was after the um, the first regression we did. But obviously the dream had been a few years ago. But I
Yes.
can remember waking up from that dream and being emotional for the rest of the week, thinking
Yeah.
about it constantly.
I'm not surprised. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that is one that I would like to go back to explore again.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I want to know if I feel like it was a past life regression I'd had in a dream
Yeah.
or
Definitely.
something like that. I really don't know, but it definitely felt like it was something more.
It sounds like it. It seems very, very vivid. And I think I might have the film you were talking about. I think I might have, because I used to be a projectionist at the Guildhall at one point, at one of my many jobs. I think I remember showing an older film which was very similar to what you were describing then.
I've
So
never
yeah.
watched it, but if I was to ask my mum, she'd escape from Solvent, something Solve. Oh, can't think off the top of my head, but I've never watched it. So, I don't know. I didn't know about that film at all until my mum mentioned it, which was,
I can't remember what the title was called, but I remember it was an old 1960s or 1970s print, and
mm,
I was like terrified that the film would break because it was old, it was brittle, and I was just watching it all the time going through to make sure it wouldn't break at all. So just say a couple of hellos as well to some new people coming in. The Ghost Lady, Nanny Lynn, says that's a dream and a half, Charlene. I want to say hello to Noreen,
hi,
and
Laurie.
also P Wednesday as well. Thank you for
Yeah,
joining.
I think it was Pete. And do you
Ah,
know what the weirdest thing was? Right, I then went on events with mediums, and I've had two people approach me and said, "I used to be in a concentration camp with you."
wow,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Two mediums have come up to me and said that before. So, that was after my dream, and I was like,
Mm,
that's weird. Not told them, they've just met me on an event and
yeah,
said, "I know you from somewhere. I think we've met in a previous life. I think we was in a concentration camp." So that is, just kind of tally up, don't it?
absolutely, it really does. Uh, Pat has mentioned another great question here. Did your dream feel the same as it did when you were regressed?
Yes, it did. The emotion.
Yeah.
I mean, I witnessed because I obviously was dreaming it where when you're with Paul, if you get to an upsetting bit, he can pull you away from that to a degree, so he can move you on to the next level. In my dream, I actually witnessed my husband and children get slaughtered,
Mm,
and that, like I say, I was upset about it all week. It really did play on my mind, and I said, you think, why is this dream upset me so much, um, and in your heart, you just feel that it was something more, and yeah. So yeah, it did feel the same. The emotion felt the same.
So when you were being either that dream that you had or when you were regressing me, did any more information come out the next few days, through dreams or anything else? Because not everybody does, but some clients have experienced that they've had more information. Did anything like that happen to you at all?
No, but even now, when I think to what my son looked like and that last bit, when I last seen him, it still chokes me up a little bit. It
Yeah,
still kind of, like, grips my heart a little bit. But no other information came through. But I was very emotional straight after the regression, and the next day I did feel like an ounce of peace come
mm,
over me.
yeah,
Um, and like I maybe knew myself a little bit more better, if that makes sense.
absolutely. Well, that brings on to another point. The I mean, both people you were in your dream and also as well the Viking. Could you see connections between that person you were in a previous life to who you are now? Are there any sort of similarities that you could see?
Same personality,
Yeah,
same
in both.
personality, yes, but look completely different.
Yeah.
But I knew it was me, but to
Hmm.
look in the mirror looked nothing like me, really.
Yeah. Because when we were doing the regression together, it got to a point and you were saying you were going to new land, and then I asked you to go a year ahead, and you said I can't see anything. There's nothing. And at that point, I remember thinking, I don't think this is going to end well. But when you do a
Mm.
regression, I don't say, right, did you pass away, or was there an accident on the boat, because I don't want to feed information to anybody at all. But you said you were blessed in the land. Try and remind me, if you can remember from the regression, what sorts of things you would do to bless the land, and spiritually, has any of that kind of followed through with you into this life at all?
So we was doing rituals. There was this, like, what I'd describe as like a monument, which was, I would say, was like a temple. I'd say I was leader of the people. I did feel like I was leader of them. Um, and I we was trying to grow crops, and would do, good rituals to bless the land and make it, good. Um, and I know that I put myself on the back burner a lot, and I know that I started my family quite a bit later than
Mm,
everyone else. That's how it
yeah.
felt. Felt like I'd put the community before myself to a degree. Um, so yeah, and that I do remember the the water coming in the boat was quite, I mean, not just coming in the boat, it was waves coming in the boat, and there was pieces of wood flying everywhere. Um, that was quite graphical. I mean, I've never been in any kind of shipwreck or anything like that, to know
Yeah,
what it must feel like. But I can imagine if it was going to be like anything, it was definitely going to be like that.
exactly.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Pete says, was it escaping Stalin?
I think so, PJ. I think it was, yeah. That she befriended a group of Russians,
Mm,
um, and they were escaped with her. Well, tried to. I think some got away, but a lot didn't.
yeah.
And as it followed me through in this life. Yes, yes. I would say. I'd say so. I mean, I do always put everyone first before myself. I do I do that. I get told off for that. Um, I do. I am into the very pagan, the moon, the sun. I love a stone circle. Like I say, I travelled all the way to the Isle of Lewis last year just to go and see that stone circle, because I felt connected there, to be honest. And that stone circle is specifically Viking.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I have got certain ways about me now which just tie into that life, definitely.
I know before Amy's progression, you had a list of what people thought Amy might have been. Did anybody do that for you? And was anybody near
Yeah.
right? So what
Yes,
sort of things were
a
they
lot.
thinking
So
you could have been?
more said Viking.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A few said Viking. Well, quite a lot said Viking. A few said Egyptian.
Okay.
Um,
Or maybe another life.
yeah. Amy got that one too.
Yeah.
And I think a few for London.
Hmm.
I worked in, which is another strange one as well, because I do feel connected to London as well. I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Amy's was really. Is that how she likes to be called, Ames, rather than Amy? Because I always refer to her as Amy, but if she prefers Ames, then I'm going to mention her as Ames. But she mentioned a place really close to you, and I
Mm.
know the name. And can I think of it now? I'm doing a live. No, I can't think of it now. I'm doing.
Stapleford.
Yeah. So, what she
Stapleford.
was describing, does it seem very much like that area? And have you spent much time around Stapleford?
Stapleford is not far from me at all. I mean, between me and Amy, there's 35 miles between us. From Amy to Stapleford would probably be about 45 miles because Nottinghamshire is a big, vast area.
Mm.
Even though we both live in Nottingham, she lives more towards Sheffield, if you like, on the border of
Yes.
Sheffield. So I'm more Nottingham city centre. So Amy's never been to Stapleford, and I don't think she ever knew there was somewhere in Nottingham called Stapleford. But
Yeah.
yeah, that area would used to have been farmland.
Yeah.
It would
I
have.
think somebody came up with the farm or very similar sounding farm to where she was.
Mm.
So yeah. Lynn says, the ghost lady, Nanny Lynn, sounds like you were a priestess. Does that sound like the sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I know I had a thing on my head, and I know I had like a wooden wand, if you
Mm,
like. I would on special ceremonies that I think I mentioned the wooden wand. I was stood
yes.
there with a dress on and a wand, and I was
Mm,
looking out. Um, I'd say a wand, but that's what how it felt. But it was just a piece of wood that I was holding on to and looking out. Um, So yeah, it probably I could relate to be more of that, yeah. And maybe why I was a bit more secretive about coming forth.
could have been. Absolutely. A lot of people were really thinking that you were Freya the North's god. So I don't know if you could see any of that, the
I
Freya.
haven't looked actually. I might have a look.
Because I got a feeling she is like got a gold sort of
Hmm.
waistband round her and stuff like that. Um, so the storm and the drowning. I mean, some people say yes, I have a slight fear of water. I don't think you do have a fear of water or anything like that.
I don't,
So
but I can't scuba dive. And I didn't
okay,
mention it. I think I
yeah,
mentioned it to you when I thought about it. I've tried to scuba dive at least a good 10 times because I love to snorkel anyway. But then I've get to a certain depth within water, and I have a panic attack underwater. And
mm,
that's happened quite a few times, and I've had to bring myself back up.
yeah,
And I ended up saying to Ed, I know you want to do this, but there's something going off, and I look at the water above me, and I just go
mm,
into it, stay a
yeah.
bit lightheaded. I feel like I can't breathe. And they've had to dash me out on the corner of the boat. Yeah, and yet I'm not overly scared of water to go on top of water
Mm.
or to even snorkel, but seeing water over my head, yeah, it definitely is a trigger.
So we've got here, yes, a druid princess from Nanny Lynn. Uh, um, Eleni says amazing lady. So thank you for that. Um, yes, the other thing I was going to just sort of mention to you as well is I think you said you met your family after death, and how was that experience for you? You know, seeing the family of the life that you had then. Was it nice and comforting for you at that time?
When we went into the healing room,
Mm,
was that?
yeah.
Yes. Well, they was kind of like down the corridor waiting, so that they had kind of like passed over and was waiting for me. So that was nice and a relief, and that did kind of like lift that emotion away, and made it easier at that point. And as fast as the emotion comes on, it can go off, but you still
Yes.
feel upset, but it's just like cuts out. It's strange.
Mm.
And I remember that specific point being that point.
And it's Leanne. I don't know why I said Laney just then. Sorry, it's my dyslexia coming out then. So Leanne, I apologise and hello. and welcome to you. We'll just move on to Amy's now, because Amy unfortunately is not with us, but hopefully at some other point we can have a chat to her. What I found really interesting is that each time when she did the regression from the MP3 that I sent, visions of red velvet has come into. I don't know if she's spoken to you about that, or if you can understand any representation with that at all.
Well, I've always thought that she's got connections to Mary Queen of Scots.
Yes, yeah.
I think the red velvet is some kind of symbolization of royalty connection.
Yeah.
But because I think she can watch a film on Mary Queen of Scots and she'll be in tears. She'll go somewhere and she'll feel the emotion due to Mary Queen of Scots. So I think she tried to avoid that
Right. Yes.
because I think she does need to do that because that would be interesting because I do think that there is some connection there somewhere for her to feel so emotional about it. In everything that she reads or she does or she goes, it's always got a Mary Queen of Scots connection. It seems to seem to follow her around a little bit.
Yes.
But I do think she avoided that door, if you ask me, because she felt it would be somewhat typical, if you like, to go maybe in that door because we all think that she could have a connection there somewhere along the line.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to maybe see what comes out at some other stage. If she feels that that's something that she wants to do, it's entirely up to her. I mean, I know about Mary Queen of Scots, but I saw a documentary about her the other day, and I think for the first time it went really into the detail of her and how tragic and sad really, her life was, from, how everything just evolved for her. So yeah, I can understand why, if you had some sort of connection there, you would feel like you didn't really want to go, particularly on a live for the first time. It might be quite a thing to do. Just want to say thank you for Lynn putting out. Please feel free to ask any questions. So do ask any questions if you have any at all. What I wanted to also ask was, you've typed up a lot of this and I know you're going to put it out later, so do you mind just giving a few sort of hints about some of the things that you've typed out about the experiences of the regressions?
So yeah, I'm going to do basically I wrote part of a blog which I'm going to put out this week. So it just basically talks a little about what regression is. It talks about kind of the two sides of the coin and what skeptics might think is going off there, and then it talks about a bit more of the evidence base, that where people have felt a connection and been proven that there's been a connection. So that I've put in like little stories associated to that. I've then gone into a bit about my regression and how I felt and my opinion on how I felt during that.
Amazing.
And then I'm going to ask Amy to just write a little bit about how she felt it went.
Yes.
So it kind of goes through what it is, what a skeptic might say, what kind of experience other people have had, and has it been, has there been evidence to suggest that it does actually may work, and yeah, and then our personal opinions on it. So yeah, that should be out next week.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tie in the videos from Paul's YouTube into that blog as well. So
Thank you. Yeah, I really
people can
appreciate that. And I
people
really
can
am. Sorry, I'm interrupting each other. Sorry, you carry on.
so people can then view it, maybe even add this chat in, view, go through the links and have a read and a little watch back and see, make up their own mind about it, and if they want to have a go with yourself, Paul.
Absolutely. I'm always delighted to take people on, and yeah, and if anybody wants to have it done and is a little bit unsure, a little bit nervous, I'm always more than happy to talk to them beforehand to help put their mind at ease. And there's no, if you phone me up, there's no kind of like, you have to have it, you have to go in the chair, or have one of these Zoom sessions that I do with people. So Pete asked, do you like Game of Thrones, etc.?
I don't watch Game of Thrones, but my husband does. Eddie does. I have not particularly watched it, but I have watched the Vikings. Admittedly, I have watched that, and I have enjoyed that. I've been very addicted to watching the Vikings. So yeah.
Pat, Pat says, does your past life family resemble your present family in any way? Do you think you've reincarnated with them?
No,
Excellent question.
no, the son from that boat. No, no, I haven't. Um, he was very dark haired. I see 3 to 5. Um, just felt a different personality towards my daughter, and I've only got the one child. But yeah, they felt completely different. The children in the concentration camp felt different
Hmm.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Noreen was very connected to Amy. Now, what happened after Amy's regression with Noreen? In fact, two people, it was Noreen and Irene. They said they had a dream of a man that had took them out. That was it connected to Amy Noreen? And I said, wouldn't it be funny if it was this bloke that she was seeing at the time? And I sent her a picture and said, it didn't happen to be him, did it?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, but an older one, but yeah, it looks like him. Um, and Amy's like, what the hell does this mean? Um, and I don't know if she want me to go into it really, but she's not with him anymore, and she might have took it as a hint that it may
Right.
need to have been no more. But yes, there was two people that had specific dreams regarding a man associated with Amy's regression, which was
Very
interesting.
interesting. It is
Which I
really
don't know
interesting.
if you've ever had anyone viewing an audience
No.
had a connection like that, Paul.
No, you get people that seem to tune in at a psychic level, and sometimes you get sort of predictions, and then like the person actually, particularly Steve's regression, if you saw that one, Steve from the Paradox Club, people sort of saying things, and then he would sort of say it, but obviously he didn't see it because his eyes were closed and he wasn't even looking in the right direction anyway. But that was really interesting because some people seem to really be able to tune in to what Steve was saying. But you do get people who feel like a heart connection with people, but not
Mm-hmm.
quite to that extent that Noreen said and what you've just described here.
Mm.
Thank you, Pat. Pat is absolutely wonderful, and I really appreciate you putting that down, Pat. What else have we got here? So, Pete, do you shop at Iceland? So, do you shop at Iceland, or should we not be advertising?
Now and again, Pete, now and again. I would like to go and visit Iceland, not the shop, the country Iceland. We would like to go to Norway as well, when we can. Well, mind you, we can. It's on a green zone in it this year, Iceland. So at the minute, but not really much for a summer holiday, but maybe a winter one. Who knows?
Absolutely, yeah. But Amy's regression, she had it didn't actually seem too bad a life, apart from that she had this arranged marriage that was
Mm.
pretty unhappy. But there seemed to be also very sort of happy things in that. Did she discuss with you afterwards anything from her regression experience that she would be happy with you mentioning here now with an audience watching.
She did say her husband was an absolute ass. Uh, and she was upset that she died alone.
Yeah,
I think it
yeah,
was that she was in a house on her own and felt quite alone.
mm,
Um, it kind of felt like she was just trying to please her dad,
yes,
done what she needed to do for her dad rather than for herself. Um, so yeah, I think she had happy memories, but there was a few that she couldn't really go into as well, and
yeah,
I know that she really did at one point get really panicky about getting
yes,
into it. So yeah, um, but again, I think she felt tired after it, but she sensed a sense of peace, maybe to a degree, come over her.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think after a regression, Paul, I'm not going to lie, I think it's opened her up more spiritually as well.
That's nice to hear.
Hmm.
One of the things sorry, carry on.
Is that something that normally happens?
Sometimes I think what it does, it opens you up. Uh, it helps remove blocks, whether it's blocks because I've had people that don't like water, are fearful for the shower, and they've drowned in a past life or whatever it could be. But then also as well, it releases emotional blocks as well. And some of those emotional blocks can be spiritual on a sixth sense as well. But what I really liked about her regression, the thing which sticks in my mind is that she had her uncle that she hadn't seen came to her to help her with the healing
Oh,
process. And
yeah.
I sort of said, it's like a pharmacist that will give you some medicine. And it was just the uncle kissing her on the forehead. And what I really liked about it was just the smile she gave at that moment when her uncle did kiss. It was, just, I get into this work because I really like helping people. When you see something like that, it gives you a nice, warm feeling
Mm,
inside.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, Noreen, I felt very emotional during Amy's regression. Amy's father seemed very kind, but although he did seem to
But I think
sell her on.
I think he seemed kind to Amy, but as a daughter of the man, she would not see the bad there, would she?
No,
And
exactly.
from the out looking in, it was kind of like, well, actually, Dad's not that nice, Amy, in that life. But she was, to a degree, like, still thought really good of him, which,
Mm,
is how it would be, in this life, isn't it? You
absolutely.
find those you love, you find the best in them rather than looking at the bad, don't you? So it is
Exactly.
quite strange that she did, and she still kind of sticks up for him to that degree because she kind of says, he was a kind man, but yeah, he wasn't really, was he? Because he had his own intentions at heart for you to marry this man. So,
Absolutely.
mm,
I think
mm,
as well, and I'll mention Pete's question in a second, but it's also the time that she was in, as horrendous as it seems, but that's probably would be, even if the father was kind, the average sort of chap's
and
thinking and the way they would do things. The other thing which came as well, like the mum wanted her to read and learn, whether the father didn't want her to do that. So Pete's question, MQS, Mary Queen of Scots short was red. Mary's colour for her deep religious belief. Because I do believe when she first came back to Scotland, the religion had was Protestant. But I think, in the first very short period of time. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think people are more into history than well, I'm into history, but he's better at history than I am. I think that for a while her religion was tolerated, but then there soon became people in power started to poke it with a stick, as it were, and at that point, all the trouble sort of happened. So, a question I like to ask is, anybody, because it's easy for me to say as a hypnotherapist, oh, you'll feel is relaxed, you'll enjoy the experience. For any reason you want to open your eyes, all you have to do is open your eyes. But it's also nice to hear from somebody who has been a client, who has been hypnotized. What was it like for you going through the hypnotic process, and just to sort of help people out with any fears they may have?
Well, he was very, very calm. He gives you all everything you need prior to you if you wanted to do it live or on a video or anything. Paul prepares you with everything, don't you, Paul? You know, you say, are you comfortable with this? And have a go. And how you been getting on with that? I know that Amy was worried that she was going to struggle because she just struggled to meditate. So I know that she did the hypnosis quite a few times just to ensure that it would, she'd be able to go through it. And it did work for Amy. She went through it, and like I say, she was a massive worry for her, and she really just struggled. So, if you've got any doubts whatsoever, Paul will be with you every way, so every step of the way. I think it's just your voice, Paul.
Thank you.
You're so calm, so collective. You can forget everything that's going off around you, where you are, and you go through step by step by step, and you do feel like you're there, as Amy said, all the time to call back on, and so that's really nice. Yeah, really, if you are worrying, don't worry, be there with you every step of the way to try it.
I always find it really I always find it really funny, because when I'm doing these lives, you suddenly see people saying, I'm drifting off. I can feel myself going, as well as I'm putting people in deeper into
Mm,
a hypnosis. I want to say hi to Rhoda. There's a few more things. Leslie Smith, the creator of Tutbury Castle, knows all about Mary, Queen of
mm.
Scots, and dresses up like her. Have you seen Leslie Smith from Tutbury
I
Castle?
have,
She's
yeah.
great. Yeah, have you
We've
seen her live?
we've investigated Tutbury Castle.
Amazing.
Um, yes, it is an amazing place, and I think I've liked her page actually. Yeah, it does look amazing. But I mean, I have personally investigated Mary Queen of Scots house in Scotland as well. And it's got a death mask there. It has, and a little shoe. It's so cute. I think I've posted
Oh,
it a few times. A little shoe in there.
must take a look
Um,
at that.
yeah. And now I've always said, well, we're booking it again for this year. For
Fantastic.
Amy to go with us
Excellent.
this time. I would say come up, Paul, and see if she'd be willing to do a regression there. But
I would absolutely love to do that if she would. Should you allow me to? I can but ask, I guess.
we'll ask. We'll ask
Yeah.
and see what she
Thank you.
says, because that would be very interesting if we could do that in her house,
Yeah.
and see what came through for her.
Oh yes, please, Charlene. That'd
If,
be really
if
cool.
she's
Thank you.
if she's willing to do it, fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
Yeah, I'll keep
We'll
my fingers
ask.
crossed. Absolutely.
But
Uh,
I have always said to Amy, I do feel like for her to get anywhere, I feel like that's her block. She needs to, and I think I said that originally when we was talking about first doing it, didn't I, Paul? That I feel like
yes.
Amy does need to do this because I feel like it's preventing her in some way going forward.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. If she wants to do that, I'm more than happy to have a little private chat to her at one point. Because the last thing I want to do is force anybody. But if she wants to chat to me about that, I certainly can do. Before I move on and answer some of these other questions, because you're on Tapby Castle, anything on your investigation whilst you were there that, or investigations that really sprung out to mind? It could be a favourite bit to visit, how you felt, or
Yeah.
anything that you picked up. So anything there?
Well, Dave, who comes out with us, he's a skeptic really, but it was a place where he first seen his first apparition actually.
Brilliant. What did you
Um,
see?
he seen a man stood behind the castle wall, one of the castle walls, and he went to
Wow.
investigate because he thought it was a physical man, and he went round the corner to see where he'd gone, and there was nobody there.
Oh,
There's
wow.
nobody there. So we'd finished the live by then. And I think Amy, Chrissy, and Dave had like an extra hour just doing their own thing. They tried to do a little live down in one of the cellar areas, I believe. But they just ended up doing a bit for themselves. I also remember doing it, I don't know if it was in the main hall area where the main activity is. We also got replies on the spirit box, and I've clipped that live actually.
I'll go and
Because
see that.
we're actually calling out to Mary Queen of Scots, and it says I was took to London, and I believe that she was took to London
Yeah. Oh, wow.
for before she was beheaded. I think Amy said she was took to London. So the replies kind of did tally up with that it may have been Mary Queen of Scots,
Yeah.
but coming through. It was quite an interesting session that we had. I don't know if Noreen was on that one actually, if she remembers. But it was very, very active. I mean, there were quite a few of us. We'd gone on like a team share. So there was quite a few of us. So there was a bit of contamination in the other rooms and stuff. But I would love to just do maybe a few less people to see, you
Yeah.
know, because we would hear like somebody who was seeing like a man stood between it's like the stairway, holding between the stairways, and a shadow crossed there, which was quite interesting. But yeah, it was amazing location. I would love to maybe
Absolutely.
do with maybe a few less, just to see if we can contain it a little bit more.
If I find that clipped video, the one that you've put up so people can see, I'll try and find it and put it into the description of this video so people can click on the
Yeah,
link and go straight to it. Leanne says I would love one, but I'd probably be nervous and be worried after. I mean, like you said, there really isn't anything to worry about. One of the things you might like to try, Leanne, I've got another YouTube channel called Paul God NLP and Hypnotherapy, and on that I do a hypno holiday. I did that originally when we went first into lockdown because people were getting a bit stir crazy, not going out. So I did that, the hypnotic holiday, so people could go on a holiday and just travel about from just relaxing and closing their eyes. But if you want to chat to me about it at all, you certainly can do.
and
Nora?
the hall is there for aftercare as well. So if you was worried after or felt strange after any way, shape or form, he's always there in message. He would always be on hand for you, Leanne. So I can 100% recommend that he would. He would.
And thank you, Noreen, for your nice comment there.
We had quite a few of them comments.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad people don't go that deep that they can actually watch the live when I do them as well. So that's really good. But sometimes it's quite funny seeing I'm going to sleep coming up in the corner, and I have to kind of at that point not look at it. Otherwise, I'll probably end up start smiling, seeing all these other people going off into. Executing a royal was bad because they were appointed spelling by God. So it was no easy thing to pass it to Elizabeth, but must have had great turmoil. Was had great turmoil, absolutely. And I think, Pete, you know quite a lot about history, but if I remember rightly, Mary Queen of Scots actually requested that she have her head removed by a sword instead of the axe, because you know how bod's job it could be. I think I've got that right, or I might, if I got it wrong, do
So
correct me.
yeah, but I do think she did have an horrific, if I know right. She had an
Yeah,
horrific.
yeah. I
Yeah,
don't think it
I
was
think
that.
it was the easiest. If bless her.
Yeah, I must say hello to my friend Buzz from America. I hope you're doing really well, Buzz. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you got my email okay, and I hope things are going really well with you. Paul Goddard on tour. Yeah, I'd absolutely love to. Would be good to see. Wasn't she in the White Tower? I believe
Look,
so.
the London Tower, is it? London, is it
I thought it
no?
was, yeah, I think it was London she moved to. I'm gonna have to watch that documentary again. Um,
If Amy was here, she knows it inside out. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. She done a
She,
speech before she was beheaded. That speech is actually on YouTube. And when we did do Mary Queen of Scots house, we did actually play that speech in there for like a reenactment. And we did have quite a few good responses come through as we was playing that. Was it felt a tad bit cruel after, because it was like kind of reminding her of her last few minutes. But what was said during that was quite interesting. But yeah, yeah, she definitely did do a speech, bless her.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think that where am I? Here for business inquiries. That's my email address. I'll just leave that for a few minutes. Well, not a few minutes, a few seconds, so people can write things down. It was a French swordman, I think. Yes, she was. My contact details, which is very Lynn is absolutely amazing, and I cannot sing Lynn's praises enough. She's got me lots of interest and on streams and work. So I owe Lynn a huge amount. Absolutely, I really do. So yeah, were there any other bits from your regression that really sort of stood out for you at all, Charlene? Beforehand, after?
Um, for me, I just like I say, I think the emotion took me
Mm,
really, because like I said, I'm not really an emotion. Well, I am an emotional person, but I tend to hide it very, very well.
yeah.
That's what I do, don't tend to cry an awful lot unless I'm on my own. So actually, to burst out like I did live was a surprise for myself. But yeah, I'd do it again. I'd definitely
Yes.
do it again.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very interesting. I wished more information had come out. That's the only thing I wished. But like I say, I don't know if there was like a slight foreign language there and a protectiveness, and I was like kind of struggling to gauge things. All I could really do was say what was around me,
Mm,
rather than engaging with what was around me. If that makes sense.
yeah.
I could just offer a description of things rather than proper names of things. Um, so yeah, yeah,
Pete's,
I'm going. Bless her.
Pete said, and I remember now it's coming to me correctly, is that Mary Queen of Scots, she had a complete and utter horrendous bodge job of her head being cut off. That to try several times, which was a common occurrence. And yes, you're absolutely right, Pete. It was Anne Boleyn got the French swordsman to chop off her head. I believe that Anne Boleyn actually wrote a letter to the king to sort of say, can this be done? And he did do that. So yeah, I got my history slightly all muddled up then, but yeah, so it was Anne Boleyn that had the French swordsman. So yeah, Henry VIII, did that. So is there a limit, Paul, on how many times someone can be regressed? Now, I think it's different to each person. Lynn, some people seem to just only have a few past lives. Some people have quite a lot of past lives. And if you hear different religions, different viewpoints, some people sort of say there's so many times that you reincarnate and then you move on to the afterlife. Other people say you just keep reincarnating. Other people say you keep reincarnating till you learn lessons. So I haven't really come across a specific answer with anybody that I've had come sit in the chair. Often comes that they say they send themselves back. But a really interesting point that I like to sort of, it's on my phone, so I have to try and find it. But I think it's important to come in with open-mindedness of what the steps are. Because if you have too much of a theory of what happens, then sometimes you end up trying to have things that fit into that theory rather than it being something that you explore. Because like Charlene, with yourself, with sort of ghost hunting, you've got to always keep an open mind about all sorts of different things that it might be. Pat said you might have thought the names were too scared to share, too sacred to share. Yeah, so that's quite a strong possibility as well, definitely. Yeah. But whenever I have Charlene people on, I like to also make sure they have a good mention about what you do as well for Paranormal Hauntings. So if you want to just say what some investigations you've got coming up, if you can say what's coming up to get people really interested, because you said the sort of things you do, but just places you're going to be visiting over the next few months, maybe even sometime over the next year, that you're particularly excited about.
Well, I've spent the last few weeks actually trying to arrange bits and bobs. So, as I said, Mary Queen of Scots House is one. We want to do an hour and a half in Mary Queen of Scots House, and then an hour and a half in Jedburgh Jail, because you can hire the two locations for one price in one night. So that's why I said, you might be able to come, Paul, if she's up for it. Because we want to do an hour and a half there and swap, because it's a team share. So one team will be in Jedburgh Jail while we do Mary Queen of Scots House, and then we'll swap over for the rest of the night. So that should be quite a good one to do. July, I think we're thinking about doing that one. I've got Mill Street Barracks in Liverpool. I've just inquired there, said that we can investigate that. Also looked at the Clink in London. That's another one that's extremely interesting, because the word Clink is a name we associate with prisons anyway, but it's because of that prison, Pacific Prison, one of the old prisons in Jackie, in London, and we know that jails are called Clink due to that Pacific Prison. So yeah, that's quite a good one. But we tend to, I'm trying to think what else we got. I've been offered to Shepton Mallet. Is it Shepton
Mallet?
Mallet?
Be a good one. Yeah.
Yes, we've been offered there. Trying to think now. I've emailed that many. Ickleton Hall is another one we've emailed. Quite good history with that. They said we could have that. Just trying to sort out dates, isn't it now?
Mm.
That you're no locations at the minute are a bit hesitant to commit with you.
Absolutely. And I think those ones which are happy to commit are probably filling up fast because I know like a lot of holiday places, as soon as the 21st of June was mentioned as a possibility, people were on that phone straight away, phoning up. So I guess it's going to be something like that. So Pete said she stopped at Chatsworth House, Mary Queen of Scots.
I would love to investigate Chatsworth House.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you ever been just as a visitor?
Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? And the family like will not delve into the paranormal at all, but say they've got ghosts there. They admittedly admit that, but they won't let any team in to investigate, unfortunately. But I would absolutely love to.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that would be a ghost hunters, paranormal investigator. I would like to call yourself. Dream to actually get into Chatsworth House. Um, are you going to do more of the helmet experiments, Charlene? I find those fascinating. Tell me about these experiments, because I don't know, because I do follow you, but I've got clients on at certain times, so I don't always get to see every single investigation. So please tell me about that.
So last year we had what is called a God's helmet made, also known as a Korean helmet. Don't know if you've ever heard of it. It was by a doctor named Michael Persinger, I believe his name is.
Okay, I think I've heard the name.
Yeah. And him and himself, him and another, they invented this helmet, and they believed that it induced a psychic ability. And what this helmet does is it's a six-coil device. Um, there is no eight-coil device, four on that side, four on that side, and it stimulates the brain here, right? And it sends pulses, electrical pulses, not dangerous electrical pulses. It is no more than what a mobile phone would do standing next to your microwave would give out. I mean, we have had a bit of we've had slight abuse saying, oh, what you're doing, frying people's your brains and stuff. And it's like, no, this device is not giving out any more than what we're around every day. What it is it's the pulses in the coils. So basically connects the coils up to white noise, and it generates like an EMF to this area of
Yeah.
the brain. And we have done some fantastic work with that last year. We blindfolded Simon to test it out. He didn't know where he was going. Just got him in the car, ping pong balls on his eyes. We all had a bit of a giggle about it. Took him to some woods, sat him down, still blindfolded, still didn't know where he was, and said, put this device on, and said, tell me just what you see and what you hear. A lot of it is what you see here rather
Yes.
than what you see physically see, because they've obviously blindfolded. So we say, don't ever feel silly in what you see, but they can physically feel things after a certain amount of time. That's what the research says. So we did that, and he got the haunting of Wombwell Woods to an absolute T. And like I say, he didn't know where he were. We gave him no information because he couldn't hear what we were saying at the time. And he got it all. He said he's seeing like a caped figure, which is the main report there. He said that he's seeing like rituals going off, which again is another main report there. It was just fascinating, absolutely fascinating. We now wanted to not just do it on our team. We tried it out on Simon to see, because we bought it and we wasn't sure if it was going to produce anything at all. And we kind of admitted to this. We kind of said, we don't know what it's going to do. We don't know if it's going to provide any evidence at all that it works. So we tried it out there and it seemed to work. He's quite a skeptical mind. We then got other people in from different teams to try it. And one that stands out for me is we investigated Antwerp Mansion in Manchester. And we was in the cellar area and we'd got it on Adam. Now Adam is quite a skeptical investigator. You know, was skeptical of the device. I didn't think that he'd experienced an awful lot, to be honest, with his frame of mind. But he sat there and his heart rate was getting faster and faster and faster. And all of a sudden, he jumps out of his skin and he says, "A woman's blew on him." He physically felt a woman blow on him. And I've got a heart rate monitor on, and it got up to like 130. So you know that he wasn't lying because your heart monitor can't lie, you know. And I had to then at that point stop it and take it off and kind of, you know, say, "Are you all right to carry on with this?"
Yeah.
I mean, but when he speaks about it, you know, he still can't believe what he experienced to this day.
Wow.
I don't know what's going off with it, Paul. It's a theory that a doctor thought by stimulating this gland in your mind, it induces a spiritual experience. You know, 80% of their participants, which was out of 2,000, experienced something with it on.
Oh, wow.
But on the front of it, it's just a helmet with a coil on. So to look at it, it looks, you think, no, what's that going to do, you know? But I've tried it on. I tried it on at a hotel in Scotland, Catherine House of Hotel, I think it was. Which used to be a jail. And I didn't know what had gone off in the top room. And I felt physical vibrations in there and swinging. And when I came up, they'd said, you know, a woman had drowned her kids in there. And that was the feeling of drowning and the swinging as she was hung herself, I think it was. And, you know, it's very, very strange. And I recommend anyone to have a go with it. Don't knock it until you try it. So we are that is on our list for this year to get more people to trial it out, and we want honest opinions on it. You know, if you don't experience anything with it, then you don't. If you do, then you do. You know, so we just wanted to do a bit more research on it, really, and see what is going off.
Which is important to do, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, Amy is still quite skeptical to a degree of it, but I can't fault what's come through with it. I really, really can't.
Yeah.
Is my channel private? No, it shouldn't be. It's just really hard to find.
There will be links in this afterwards, so once this video is done, I'll make sure the links go into it. But no, it's not a private channel. Anybody can join them when I've tuned in. I've absolutely loved the content.
It's just really hard to join it.
Yeah, how people join. I take it this is for future investigations, because you just join, you just go to Paranormal Hauntings and click the like and
we do all this live as well, and if anybody's obviously interested in participating in it, please message me and let me know, because as you know, I do need as many people on board to trial it out, as long as they're fit, because there is a certain criteria that if you suffer with that epileptic fix, then we wouldn't try it on, you know. And you know, there's an element, if you've got depression, we've got to kind of, and if you're on medication for depression, not that it would do anything, because a lot of people use the God helmet to actually help them with depression, but I just need to see that you know, we just could have a private chat on what it could mean. So if anybody out there is willing to have a whirl with it, would like a whirl with it and see what they experience with it, we'd be more than happy to bring it along and for you to have a whirl as part of our research project on it.
It's very much like with when I have clients for hypnotherapy or past life regression, putting people into hypnosis, if they have epilepsy or depression, I always just get them to check out with their GP beforehand. And no GP has ever said don't do it. But it's just one of those things. You just have to protect yourself, be careful. And like if somebody has epilepsy, you know, if it, and there'll be absolutely nothing to do with the hypnosis. If I was doing a session and somebody started having an epileptic fit, then people will be thinking, oh, look what he's done. So you have to be extra sort of careful with those sorts of things. Georgina Spencer might haunt there. The Duchess. I think we're talking about Chatsworth now, aren't we? I do believe. Correct me if I'm a bit behind on some of these questions. Pat says Newsham Park Hospital in Liverpool is the most evil and active place I know.
I have to agree. It's amazing. I have investigated it before a few years ago. But it is absolutely amazing. I mean, I investigated it prior to it having any renovation work done to it, so it was really, really raw. At this time, you could venture anywhere in there. Now I think there is slight restrictions on where you can and can't go in there, but overall, still a good investigation to do. It's just that I think he charges about £1,000 to rent it.
Yeah,
if not more.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
I think he's froze, or I have. Am I still live? I can't see the comments, guys. So if we're still live, I can't see.
Yeah. Did you just drop out then for a second?
Yeah, oh, you did. You did as well, Paul. I don't know if it was me or you.
Yeah, that's the first time that it's actually happened ever. And I've got a little thing because nothing ever really goes on with it, but for some reason my internet's dropped right down. You know, speed wise, so it seems to be back up now. So if I suddenly disappear, then you'll be left with the Charlene show, but you'll be incapable. I usually finish with people about sort of 9:30ish, so I'll just make sure you get your comments in then. But that just seems a nice sort of natural time to stop. So please get any more questions in that you have. What's here? It's supposed to stimulate the temporal lobe area, doesn't it? So we're talking about that helmet that you were talking about. Yeah. What does it feel like when it's on? Because I've always got the ping pong balls on you and everything like that. I mean, do you feel tingling or anything? Sorry to show my ignorance here.
I didn't. We did try it on the Ouija brothers. And Steve, who tried it, he said that he could feel like feel the electrical buzz or whatnot. But no one else has really said that. Said that they may have had. Oh, that's my group, Lynn. Yeah, that's my Facebook group. That is a private group. Yeah.
There's also Paranormal Hauntings, which you can like the page of as well, and that is the page where you will see all the investigations. At the beginning of this video, which you will see, is the Paranormal Hauntings logo. So you look at it, it's a kind of red sign. You know, so you put Paranormal Hauntings in, it should come. But as I do promise people, I will put it in the description of this video. And in fact, Paranormal Hauntings already is in the little advertisement that I did for this video as well. So sorry, you were talking about your helmet then.
So so it stimulates the right side of the brain. We stimulate that for 5 minutes, and then we switch the coils onto the left side. And as the coils on the left side start to kick in, that's when you're supposed to start seeing, possibly feeling. It's normally about the 20-minute mark where you may become a bit paranoid that somebody's in the room with you. You may feel like they're walking around you. I mean, not just in your mind. You physically experience it. You may feel vibrations. You may feel them touch you. And then, you know, as you go on, that can intensify. We do need to do it for a bit longer. We generally do it. We've been doing it for half an hour. That's where we got up to see how people and what they experience. But we do need to try and take it to an hour to see what more people may experience. Is skeptics to say it's just because there is a device on their head and you are connecting an experience with the device. I have to think that there's a bit of something more into it just because of how accurate it currently has been up to date. Don't know if it will be this year. But it's definitely interesting theory, and it's definitely one no one else is really trying. Like I say, it looks a bit crazy to just say that you sat there with an helmet on, but yeah, we
Uh,
also combined it with the Gansbled experiment, which is another um, experiment in its own, but we combine the two for a mass experience. So that strips all the eyes, and you're playing white noise in your ears. That kind of strips off all your senses as well. So we kind of combine the two experiments to see what comes of that, and if it ties to the location and everything. And we're not giving anyone any information on what they they may experience. We're just saying, if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. You don't know where you're going, so they don't know what's supposed to be haunting there. So if they can experience something or see something that tallies up with the location that they're in, then that's some kind of confirmation to a degree.
I fully agree, and I take it if somebody panics and says off, it can just be turned off instantly and all
Yeah.
effects stop straight away. Yeah, I thought that
Yeah.
would be the case, but I just thought. Pete said you did poor. I mean, these questions are coming in, so I'm a little bit behind on the questions now, so I can't remember what that was now. But thanks, Pete. What else? So Lynn has found it. So let's see this. Can past lives and ghost hunting sometimes meet in the middle? Time slips, etc., or past lives or future weirdness rather than a trapped soul? Yeah, I think so.
And
I've seen. Yeah, go ahead.
a good example was the other night. I don't know if you was on PJ, but me, Simon, and Amy, we went to a castle, and there was responses coming through as if Simon had lived there before, and I'd asked if he'd been there in a past life before, and it kind of said he had. Um, and what happened, if you go onto the page, is when we finished up, we didn't get a lot of communication there the night as such, as in like equipment going off, but we did get a few spirit box responses. But Simon is extremely drawn to castles anyway, and always says that he felt like he'd had a fall at a castle somewhere. So it was quite strange that this was coming through. Now we're packing up, and I say to Simon, it was a good thing that you had Arthur Wilson come through. And as I say this white thing crosses the screen and fades off, right? Now, this white thing in the video is something that Simon has got on footage quite a few times in his years of investigating, and he says it's his feathered friend, and he describes it as a feather, which sometimes looks like a music note. Um, and what I am going to do, because he's going to send me the clips of all the clips he's had over the years investigating of this white thing appearing and coming out of shot appearing, and then obviously the one from the other night, it wasn't a hair, we didn't see it visually, it wasn't a ball, because I'd looked up and I'd looked at the lens as Amy said it'd gone past. I couldn't see anything going across it. I mean, I'm not a big believer in orbs, but I have seen them with my eyes before. um so I do know there is something out there. There is something with the phenomena. I just don't believe that it's captured as much as maybe people feel it may be. But that one was of interest because, like I say, we was mentioning his previous name in a past life, and then for this thing to come across the screen, which follows him, and he calls it his feathered friend, was quite strange. So I have to think that yes, the past lives can tally up with the ghost hunting.
Yes, I
And I
mean
think
that's.
Spirit may know.
I remember you asked him. I was actually watching it live, and they said, "Oh, maybe you would like a past life." And I think his reaction to that was, So. But if he wants to, I'd be delighted. Pat
Well, I did
Middleton.
send
So.
him the clip because he's not great at meditation. So I did say, well, before I asked Paul, let me send you the clip. So I did send him the clip, and he had sat down and he had tried 5 minutes of it, and he said he went through a door and he was in a prison suit.
Right.
He was striped.
Now that
And
does
he said
sound
he
interesting.
was in a sheer panic and he had to come out. So he actually pulled himself round. So he probably would do it privately with you, Paul. He just might not do it live. So I will
No,
ask
that's
him.
fine. Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if he wants me to put his mind at ease, I certainly will do that. Hello to Ryan. Thank you
Hello.
for joining us tonight. We're having from wonderful Lynn. She's absolutely wonderful because throughout the evening and other evenings, she just completely helps market not just my business and my YouTubes and my Facebook, but also as well the guests as well. So she's brilliant. Leanne's seen this. It was amazing. Nanny Lynn's put my details up again. So let's see. Flipping heck was about something. So yeah. So I haven't been keeping up with, but Charlene's stories have just been so fascinating. I just really wanted to hear them all the way through. Pat said sometimes things are only meant to be seen by a certain person. Absolutely. I mean, you've probably experienced it before whilst being on a ghost hunt, that you get something really amazing as soon as you turn your equipment off or you turn off
Mm.
the live or anything like that. So have you had any specific stories like that where you just put stuff down and then something's happened?
Yes. Well, we was in the paper for it actually because we actually investigated a tunnel called Cabry Tunnel, and we'd not had an overly interactive night down the tunnel, to be fair, but we came through out the tunnel and we've gone through the woodland area. And Chrissy said that she's seen like a gentleman because Chrissy's sensitive. She's seen a gentleman at the top of the tunnel. She felt like he needed to be passed over. So anyway, at this point, Chrissy don't like to do that kind of thing live. So she said, "We'll end the live, and we're gonna try and pass this gentleman over if he wants to, and we're gonna use the moonlight in which to do so." So we end the live, and we goes to the corner of the tunnel, and we're holding hands, and the moon's shining down on us, and she's just started to get into it. And this man appears from out the bushes, comes out the bushes, and he shines this torchlight directly. And I look up, and he shouts, "Oi, South Yorkshire Police!" Right? So then Chrissy and Amy looks up, and he's walking towards us. And Chrissy went, "Oh, yeah, show us your ID then," because that's how she is. And the next minute, he carries on walking, and he walks. His torchlight goes towards my car, and Paul, no word of a lie, he walks through my car. That's the
Oh
only
wow.
thing that
Wow.
how I can explain it, right? So obviously, as being quite logical, because that's what we are. We look under the car, we look in the bushes, we searched the whole area, couldn't see anyone. There was no other torchlight, there was nobody under my car. We walked down the opposite end to see if they'd ran away somehow without us seeing. But the moon was that bright that we would have seen him legging it towards the end of the road if he had.
Yes.
We, it shook us up a little bit because we didn't know he was as physical as you and I, Paul, right? And we didn't know if it was a physical person or if we had just seen a ghost because we couldn't explain where he'd gone. He'd just
Yeah.
walked through my car, shined his torch in my car, and just walked through it. And there was nowhere he could have gone. You know, there was brambles high. I mean, we went back to show everyone what the brambles was like and said, "Do you think a person could get through these?" You know, um, and we got in the cars because we thought, well, if it is a physical person, where is he? Let's get in the car. Let's drive down the road a bit. Let's see if there's cars parked down the road. There wasn't. There wasn't a soul in the area at all. I mean, it is a bit of a dodgy area, don't get me wrong, but that particular night there wasn't a soul around. And we actually then went live and said, this is what we've just seen and experienced, and we don't know what to think about it. And then a lot that I spoke to who said that they've seen apparitions, they've been as solid as you and I. They're not misty, they're not
Yeah.
see-through. They are as solid as you and I, you know. So I feel that we've seen an apparition that night.
Definitely.
Yes, the mystery policeman. And funnily enough, we went back to recreate it, right, to see if we could, if it was a person, if there was an escape route that he could have talked. So we did this live. And funnily enough, the police actually did turn up for that
Mm.
particular live. And we spoke to him and said, you know, this time, like 2 weeks ago, would there have been an officer down here walking? And they said no, not at 12 o'clock at night, not on his own, no. And he would have been in a car. There's no way that there would have been anyone walking around from
Okay.
us, from the police, South Yorkshire Police. So that kind of confirmed it a little bit more for us as well. So I definitely think that I did. I know that Chrissy and Amy thinks that we possibly could have. Um, so that was one experience that I'll never ever forget, and did happen off camera.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if we'd have kept the live on,
Yeah.
we would have caught him on the camera. We would have caught him going to the car. I mean, we do have a tendency now where we tend to leave the live on now
Yes.
until we've got back to the car because it's
Don't
just
blame
in
me.
case anything ever happens like that again, you know, because you can only take our word for it that we'd seen that. And I was like, it's just typical, isn't it? Typical.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I've done, and Lynn was there as well, where there's a massive like bang in the corner. It was we got the sound of it, but all we had 4 cameras and none was pointing in the area. Or another time on investigation, I saw a full-bodied apparition. It was just when everything goes away. So whether it would have showed up at that time if the cameras were out, I don't know. But sometimes I feel that you almost have to have the camera also roll in all the way home as well, because you never quite know what you can capture.
I don't think they like cameras.
No, no, I don't think they do either. They're okay with sound on cameras, but not actually showing themselves on cameras apart from
I think it's a ghost rule that
yeah,
they're not
I
allowed
think
to
it is.
break.
I saw a woman walk through a wall. At some point, Lynn, I'm going to get you on my YouTube channel, one of my YouTube channels, and we'll have a good chat about all that you've seen and introduce your Ruth Ellis story to a whole new audience. Tinker, I haven't seen you for ages on here. It's nice to see you, Tinker. Coming to the end, it's not too long time, but just keep it going a bit longer because I don't want to go hi Tinker, bye Tinker. And are you doing okay for the time as well,
I'm
Charlene? I just
all right
wanted to,
the time, yeah, yeah.
so I've seen 3 possible 4. What's that? Uh,
Apparitions, I think.
right, yeah. So Fantastic, Pete. So coming slowly towards the close, do ask any more questions that you might be interested in asking in Charlene on here. But it's obviously because there are so many ghost hunting people on Facebook, on YouTube, and programs on TV. People wanting to go out and do it themselves. If you could only, like, being new to it, 3 bits of equipment to take on an investigation, what would be your choice of 3? Because obviously they're quite expensive, some of the equipment you can get. What would you choose to go on investigation, and why?
I would say you only need yourself and your own senses. I'd say a camera, because the camera can back up, you know, where you are and what you're doing. And it can also capture voices, shadows. Your camera is a massive thing. I mean, most of my EVPs that have been amazing have been on the camera, never really on an EVP recorder as such. The most fluent has always been on a camera.
Yes,
And then a third. What third would I say? Probably an EVP recorder. I would take an EVP recorder just because, and have that running because you never know what might come through on that. Um, so yeah, you don't have to spend an awful lot because you can download EVP recorders on your phone now, so you can have your phone recorder going if you want.
exactly,
You can make it as cheap or expensive as you want, but the only main thing that you really need is just yourself. That's all you really need, and a good attitude, respect.
exactly. Both Peter and Pat have mentioned Spring-Heeled Jack. This has gone over the top of my head, so sorry. Do you know anything about this, Charlene, or do you know
I
what
know
the?
PJ is extremely interested in Spring-Heeled Jack. He was thought to be Jack the Ripper, I believe, wasn't he? He's another spin-off on Jack the Ripper. He's the phantom that goes across the houses on the rooftops. Appeared throughout history, throughout the UK. I don't know if throughout the world.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm not sure the phenomena that he's supposed to do. Is he supposed to kill?
So yeah, anybody that knows, just
To
please say,
let
'cause
me know.
we'll be finishing shortly. But I mean, I'd just really like to thank you, Charlene, for coming on tonight and talking about your past life regression experience, your dream of a past life you've had, and the fascinating world of ghost hunting as well, because it's been really good. Is there anything else at all that you'd like to say that I haven't asked you so far?
No, just if anyone is thinking about it, then please have it with Paul.
Thank
Because
you.
like I said, it does make you feel very, very comfortable, very relaxed. He's there before, during, and after. I mean, I think I think you're a lifelong friend now, Paul.
Oh, thank you. I like to think so too. Definitely.
He's just got a
Thank you,
good
Charlene.
soul. He really has. You can just see it does. He's got a
Thank
good
you.
soul. You can
I
tell.
really, I really appreciate that. Likewise, Charlene, and also likewise to all the wonderful people that have been watching tonight. And Nanny Lynn has been modding tonight, and thank you for doing that. And thank you for all your questions. It looks like we've had a new comment here. Uh, Amazing live tonight. Thank you, Charlene and Paul. Well, we were delighted
Yeah.
to do that. So thank you very much. I'm
And
going
I
to
think
say
we're back live ourselves tomorrow. So that's when we'll be back on Facebook, guys. So we should update the page for those wanting. Yeah.
fantastic. And thank you, Tinker. What time's the live on tonight so people can join in?
Tomorrow it'll be probably about 9 o'clock-ish, so I'll let them know. I'll let them know the post, bless them.
Fantastic. Well, if I'm free, I'll certainly be joining in as well. So I'll say hello to everybody as well. So that'd be amazing. So just got a few more thank yous. Thank you, Rhoda. Thank you, Ghost Lady. Thank you,
Brilliant.
Noreen. Brilliant. Really enjoyed tonight. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We're in the broadcast now. And you happy just to spend just 5 minutes afterwards? Just so well, that's it. I'm off
Yeah,
it. So yeah, brilliant.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Night.